Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna go over exactly how you can draw clothing on a body, because I find there's a lot of mistakes when it comes to actually drawing clothing. The biggest one being, you're not actually just drawing the body first. You're trying to just go, dive right into drawing the actual clothing. Imagine if I had no reference, no body right here, and I was just, trying to draw, I don't know, a shirt or whatever. It would look a lot I don't know, you just wouldn't have the structure behind it. You'd see something off about the drawing, but you wouldn't be sure what it was. So the first thing that you want to do, always, is draw the structure of the body. Now, this is a whole other thing in and of itself. I might make another video on that. But basically what I did here is I just looked at my reference, and then I drew the bodily structure before I'm drawing the clothing. That is so important. It makes it 10 times easier for you as well. Because imagine you're trying to guess where things are. If I looked at this reference here, imagine if I tried to guess where this is. Put that there, put that there, put that down. It just wouldn't flow as nicely. And you'll notice that the difference between doing something just guessing where something is on there and then actually drawing it on the body is night and day. Because it basically just allows you to get the shape down first. So I feel like this is something that you should get really comfortable first before you try drawing clothing. Just getting down the structure of the body. Now, to start off, what we're going to do is, I like to start off with the collar of the shirt. You can really start off wherever, but that's just where I find it most comfortable to start off. So, we start up at the neck here, and we notice that it goes around, not at this neck point right here, that would be around that point, but a little bit back. And then it ends just a little below the collar. So we're always observing where things are in comparison to each other. And then we draw the little bit of the collar. I generally will draw the big shapes first. That's definitely the best way to go about it. You don't want to be starting with the small details first. So start with the big shape of the collar there. You wouldn't want to just be zooming in and then trying to draw the little line right there. Just zoom out and then go ahead and draw the big parts. So we're going to go up to the shoulder. And something that's very important to note here is, do you notice where I'm drawing the clothing? It's kind of hard to see, but there's a little bit of air above that. That's because there's volume on the clothing from the skin. A mistake that some people make as well is just they will draw the clothing as if it's skin tight all the time. Now, sometimes it is. Maybe it's tights or whatever. But for this drawing here, this clothing's definitely not skin tight. It's kind of flowy and baggy. So you want to do it a little bit above. Now, I do a little bit above up here. Why is that? What is acting on the clothing right now? This brings a little bit of physics in here. What is pushing down on the clothing? Gravity. Gravity will be pushing down on your clothing, so it's going to be pushing it down that way. So we look at that, and then we'll flow it down, make a big general shape there. Then we'll draw this shape right here. And sometimes we'll draw the wrinkles just right away to get the idea of where the shape is. So gravity's always going to be pushing it downwards. You're never going to have clothing that would be, okay, I'll do it on this arm right here. Your clothing is never going to be that high if it's a thin material that falls because of gravity. Now, if the clothing is a thick material and it's actually being pushed up from the material, then sure, go ahead. There are some clothings that would do that. We're going to do the same thing with the other arm here. Go around like that, push in, and what I'm doing right here is I'm seeing this shape, and then I draw it right there. And then I saw how this, this wrinkle, it goes right in. So I'm always looking at these wrinkle areas, and then pushing along. Now I will add more detail later, but what we're going to do next is we're going to have to kind of guess where the other collar of the shirt area is. Because the hair is blocking it there, so we're just going to assume it's around the same distance. And it goes down like that. And this goes right down the middle. So we push that down. There we go. Now we have the big giant shapes down. What are we going to do next? Now that we got these big shapes down, we can do the smaller details. So what I like to do from here is do a little bit of erasing of the structure that I drew of the body here. A little bit of erasing there, maybe erase the shoulder area, just so we can see what lines we actually have for the clothing. And we'll notice that there's not too many lines that we drew. Now I find that my drawings actually look a lot better when there's not an incredible amount of lines. You notice in this area right here how there's a bunch of wrinkles, a bunch of lines there. We're only going to draw a few of them. We're not going to draw all those lines, just maybe like that. Because I find it looks way too overcrowded. Now, if it is your style to draw it really overcrowded, sure, maybe. But for starting off, try to draw as much as you can with as little lines as possible. if that makes sense. So it's like, we notice that there's a bunch of wrinkles going down this way. Pull down, probably should be it. Like, you notice how you don't want it to get too overcrowded there. Same with this side. Now we're gonna go to the bottom of the shirt here. You'll notice that it gets kind of baggy actually, so we're gonna bring that down a bit. Just get these big general shapes down. It takes a lot of practice and observing to like be able to do this, but like, I'm a believer that if you put your mind to something and you have the right mindset, then you can just really accomplish anything. So yeah, just give this some practice and you will be able to actually do this eventually. Just do quick lines as well. Quick lines always look way better. And you'll notice now, remember how I said you don't want it to be too overcrowded? It is looking a little bit crowded right now. So what can we do about this? How can we fix the fact that it's really crowded? Well, lines have different weight. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the lines that go in the deepest areas and the lines that outline the figure the most, and then make those sharper. And we're not going to fully connect them together with a really sharp line. Rather just like make the ends of them sharp and let it like understand, okay, this is probably going to connect up there. And make the heavier parts the sharpest too. This will make sure that you're like, imagine, okay, here's a good analogy. Imagine if you're writing like an English paper, right? And you're doing an essay. It would be like if there wasn't such thing as line weight, you wouldn't have like spaces between paragraphs. All the paragraphs would just be jumbled together. Doing the line weight's kind of like adding the spaces between the paragraphs. So add line weight where there's most of the weight going on. It will like separate it a lot. And remember, the deeper areas too. So like that area is kind of deep. And right here is also like, it outlines it and it also goes kind of deep, so that area is going to be sharp. Same with the neck as well. And for the collarbone, I know it's not part of the clothing right now, but just like, I do a little bit there. And you notice how it's a lot more coherent now. Now if I just erase a few of these like extra guidelines that I drew before, you'll notice how all these lines, they're so much more coherent and easy to see. Just because you'll understand, okay, these are the lines for the figure, those are the lines for like the smaller wrinkles. And let's finish it up here, but just giving some hair for fun, honestly. Bring the hair down. Remember, treat hair as like a general shape as well. Honestly, treat a lot of things as just general shapes and try to get a good eye for like making these like quicker movements as well. You don't want to, like, you can be drawing slow, like right there I'm drawing slow because I have to be more precise, but then when I get down there, it's like, yeah, I can draw a little bit quicker. And with the hair, we're going to do like the same thing with the line weight as well. We're going to add lots of weight around like the deeper areas and like the areas that actually outline it. Alright, so that's pretty much what I do to draw clothing. To summarize it, the main mistake that people make is they are just not drawing the figure first. You should always be drawing the figure first, get like the bodily structure down, and then add the clothing on top of it. If you're not doing that, your clothing's gonna look really flat, awkward, and it'll be like you can tell something's wrong because maybe the figure's arm isn't supposed to be like somewhere where you drew the clothing and it looks like off, but nobody can really tell what it is. There's a good chance it's just because you didn't draw the bodily structure first. Once you do that, and then you actually master like shaping the clothing around the body, like, okay, like you notice how I was shaping the wrinkles and then we're going up around the chest area. Basically, like, because she has boobs there, it's just like you would shape it going up that way and then it would shape the body. Now for the arms here, these are shaping, and you notice how it's curving around the arm. Just because you're doing these things after you get the body down, it becomes so much easier to understand where you should put the wrinkles, where the clothing should actually go. It's infinitely times easier, and it also looks way better. So, get the bodily structure down first. Make sure that you understand where gravity's acting. So gravity's pushing down the clothing, like, everywhere. So you're not gonna just have, like, oh, here's a good example, actually. Let's say we have an arm right here. Let this just be like, say that's the end of the arm. Clothing would go down like that. Some people would draw it, and it would be like, they would have the clothing going upwards. Like, no, gravity would push the clothing down. Just remember that. So yeah, just remember that gravity will always be pushing the clothing down there. Now, in some areas it might flow out more, and some clothing's heavier, some clothing's lighter. This clothing's kind of light, it gets pushed out a bit there. But it's also like being pushed up against the skin there as well. And it would be weird if like it was just flowing upwards. It'd be like, is she on the moon or what? So understand that gravity's acting on everything all the time. Yeah, those are like the two main things. It's just like, make sure you draw the body first and then get the gravity down. So anyways, thank you for watching this video. And if you do like it, then make sure to just go down and hit that subscribe button down below. So anyways, thank you for watching.